We try to create experiences for our customers and our consumers. But there are times in our lives where experiences are created for us.
Hey, dog.
Hey, Elise, how are you?
You think about the major events in our lives, there's always an amazing food experience tied to it.
Good morning.
It's what brings people together. And that's where people get to share their beliefs about who they are and what they stand for. There are neighbors, there are friends, different cities, different communities.
You know, when we come together, we can make a better world.
A whirlwind of a person who's not going to take no for an answer.
There was only one greatest generation, and, I admire those guys so much.
I was truly amazed at how kind the world could be.
These are stories that absolutely have to be told.
I think it's something that we really need.
It's about what we can do for others. That's powerful.
Good afternoon and happy Friday to everyone that's able to join us here online. My name is Steve Venengay. I'm the Vice President of Grocery Products Marketing here at Hormel Foods. And I wanted to introduce the first person that'll be joining us here today, which is Ethan Waters, who is an award-winning writer who's been involved with several of the films that you've been able to see this week that have been presented. So thanks for joining us, Ethan.
Great to be here.
So it's great to be with you all on this final day of the Hormel Film Festival. For those of you that have had a chance and the pleasure of tuning in every day, I have no doubt that you've been moved by these incredible stories of our inspired fans and heroes who are making the world a better place. I also wanted to share that tonight at 7 p.m. Central, we are going to be hosting a larger, continuous film festival with even more of our great films, featuring some of our favorite people and their stories. And we will also be sharing our new series called Everyone Has a Story that features 6 short films about special people who work at Hormel Foods and their unique life journeys. It's certainly going to be a moving evening, so I hope you can join us tonight as well. So on to today's feature. Whether it's around the world or closer to home, we know that many people count on our products. Our fans are pretty amazing, and they often write to us and share their stories, as was the case with a 12-year-old force of nature from Hurricane, West Virginia, who showed us how she is taking the world by storm. So here is the world premiere of the 5th grader who fed Putnam County.
West Virginia is a very proud place in which don't want to look for outsiders for help. But you go about 2 miles off the interstate, and that's where you start seeing the poverty. And we don't have a lot of industry here. A lot of that has moved away.
West Virginia has a very huge drug crisis right now, the opioids.
A lot of folks looking for that out to soften their pain for not being able to provide and to have the life that maybe their parents did. It's just affecting our kids in ways that we've never seen before.
There's a load of kids and loads of families that need help, and they need to be fed and loved.
West Virginia is really country, and usually country people are really nice. Well, my parents were always telling me to do nice things to people, so I took that lesson to heart. I find that I think about how other people don't have what I have, and there are just a ton of sweet people in the world who say hi to me every day, hug me, say what's up, everything. At first I was thinking about all the other homeless people and the large amount of homeless people in West Virginia.
Elise comes to me and says, "Mom, I want to do something for the homeless."
And then I found that there was just as much need in my schools as in the real world. And that just changed my perspective on everything.
Hey, dog.
Hey, Elise, how are you?
Good, how are you, man?
Ready for another day?
Oh, yeah.
When I was at Pokia Elementary School, Mrs. Stevens told us about this little boy who ate his ramen noodles raw. I felt awful. It made me want to cry. I mean, if I could, I would go over there, and every time he wanted ramen noodles, I would cook him. because I think about how my grandmother cooked me ramen noodles a lot.
It kills you, knowing that this child had nothing to eat but raw noodles.
So I said, Elise, what do you think about maybe working with some kids? Our backpack program, any child that gets free and reduced lunch, they will send home this backpack.
Backpack Buddies usually feeds everyone at the end of the week, but they don't do anything on the holidays. So that's why I decided to do something on the holidays, and Christmas particularly.
She wanted them to have a hot meal for Christmas.
And she wanted to make sure that there was food in the cabinets for these children over those 12 days.
I had to raise a lot of money. We had to raise at least $5,000. Mom said, how are we gonna get $5,000? And I said, you know what, let's post a video to Facebook. Maybe people will donate there. What's up, everybody? My name's Elise, and this Christmas, I want to help kids get a meal.
I was holding the phone in one hand and her script in the other hand, and she was reading it. And the outtakes are hilarious. Some of them she would say, good evening.
Good evening. Oh, wow. That's real creepy, like. It was the craziest thing.
We posted to Facebook with the hashtag Box to Belly Challenge, and immediately things started happening.
I was truly amazed at how they would donate and help out. I just didn't know how kind the world could be.
She went out and did the social media, and she raised the money. She selected the Hormel Completes meals. She felt like that was the best option for her program.
The Hormel Completes are so perfect because the kid can just peel it off. And even if they don't have a microwave or a way to heat it up, they can eat it cold, which some of the kids don't have any choice but to do. So that's why we chose that product.
She delivered every single one of them to every single school in our county.
Poca Elementary School was one of the most hard. It was just really depressing to go to Poca and hear that there was nearly half the school that needed food.
Poca has the highest rate of participation in their backpacks. Melissa meets us at the door, and she cried. She cried. It was amazing. She was like, I cannot believe that a little girl, this was her vision. This is what she wanted to do for Christmas.
So I got emotional because just to see a fifth grader want to do something like that and to help kids that she doesn't know.
The pure joy of children at Christmas is one of the most magical parts of the season.
But it's the generosity of one child that's creating magic for her parents, teachers, and even strangers during a season that can often be stressful financially. She's helping to lighten the load.
She's a pretty incredible fifth grader, and she's just inspired me to think more about how I can help my neighbor, because that's really, to me, what this story is about. We would like to make a donation of 1,300 trays of completes in honor of you.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
I look at this being a movement, that we are owning our communities.
The weak, the ones that are hurting, those are the ones that she tends to take under her wings, the underdog. And don't get me wrong, she's still your typical child. She's still all about Fortnite. She's all about playing outside with her friends. But at the end of the day, Elise is an old soul too, and she has a heart to care and to give to people. And that's what she's done.
I mean, there are many people in the world who do this, and I'm just one person. More than one of me could change the whole world. Like, they can do anything. The sky's the limit. I'm Elise, and I am the creator of the Box to Belly Challenge.
The sky is the limit. I love that. Nice job. So today, at the wise old age of 12, Elise has continued to do the good work to support her community, and we at Hormel have continued to support her. In fact, at our recent leadership meeting, Elise put us to work. She said, no more meetings. No more donuts, no more coffee. Let's get to work and make some boxes. So we did that, and our team members packed and donated more than 2,000 additional meals for her cause, the Box to Belly Challenge. And we couldn't be more proud of you. So let me share whom else we have with us today. Obviously, we've got Elise and her mom, Jackie. So welcome again. Hi. We're also joined by Doug Irwin, who is the founder of the West Virginia Summer Backpack Program for school-age children called Backpack Buddy. Welcome. We also have our very own Megan Bauman, brand manager, Hormel Foods, and filmmaker David Monroe. So welcome to all of you as well. So as we get started here, we need to start with your standard greeting here, Elise. So what's up?
What's up?
Good to see you again. So I can't even remember what I was doing at the age of 12, but I'm quite confident it was nothing like you're doing now. And your mom says that you always root for the underdog. So tell us, what has it meant to you to be able to give back to the kids in your town that aren't able to have food?
It means everything to me to give them a warm meal for Christmas. It gives them a shot at what us, the middle class people, have. To give them a shot for once.
Yeah, that's awesome. What a great, kind spirit. That's what's going to make the world go around. Just like you said, a couple more of you and we can change it, right?
Yes, sir.
So when you were 11, did you think someday they're going to make a film about me? And how was the filmmaking process? Did you have fun?
Yes, I can give you a sincere answer on this. Yes, I had a great time with the crew.
That's awesome. What was your favorite part?
My favorite part, yeah, it was honestly just being with the crew because they were all so nice and they were funny. It was a great time. They made everything amazing.
Oh, that's awesome. Great to hear. Anything else, Ethan?
Oh, Megan, yeah. So I'm curious, Megan, how this story resonated with you, and I'm always impressed at how excited people at Hormel are when they get a story like this. But can you talk about we're hearing about it?
Yeah. So in terms of how it resonated with me, it really resonated with me. So I am a mom, and I have an 11-year-old, and I can't imagine what it would be like for a child to go hungry. And I try to instill in my son how fortunate we are, and that there are a lot of people in the world that aren't as fortunate as we are. And my son and I try to find ways that we can make a small impact to better the lives of those that are less fortunate than us. And Jackie has obviously done an incredible job of us instilling that in Elise. But then she has also provided Elise with some amazing support in her efforts to really help those that are less fortunate than her.
Steve, I'm also interested in your impression of when you hear stories like this or get stories from customers where Hormel products are used in a special way. It's meaningful to your team, right?
Absolutely. Yeah, it makes a world of difference. And, a lot of times brand managers can get caught up in the day-to-day business side of the aspect. I mean, obviously we're always thinking about the consumer, but it's more probably in more traditional terms in how they consume the products and the product attributes and more of a functional way. So when we get a chance to see and hear stories like this, it's just amazing to us, and it's very inspiring and keeps the teams going.
Right, it is. So a question for Jackie. I'm curious whether Elise's spirit, whether you ever worry that she's going to take on too much or be too worried about the things that maybe she can't control in the world. And do you ever worry about keeping her as a normal kid as well as seeing her do this other stuff?
So there is a little concern from time to time because she has a tremendous heart. Sometimes we have to scale back just a little bit and say, okay, let's think about this. Let's talk about this. But we try to keep her as a kid too. I mean, she still goes outside, plays. She's running in the creek almost daily, riding her bikes. I call it terrorizing the neighborhood. But I mean, we try to keep her level, but in another sense too, if she comes to me with an idea, I like to try to support her in that idea as long as it's not so outlandish. So
And David, just before I ask you a question, I want to brag on you a little bit. The films, most of the films in this film festival, almost all of them, have been the product of your creative genius and your creative partner, Scott Balseric. So congratulations. They were all really wonderful films. I'm curious, just as a filmmaker, how you approach this one and how you, how you use the scenes and the location also as almost another character in this movie.
Well, one of the first things I had to do, and I think I'm going to have to do it again, is to say, loosen up, Elise. She's so polite. You need to get her in the moment. So, I think, one of our methods that, when I say our, I mean my partner Scott and I, is to really get to know people before we put them in front of the camera. And so Jackie and I, and Elise and I, and Doug, and Principal Fowler, and so many other of the people in the film, really everybody, we just spent lots of time on the telephone. This was before we were all Zoom calling, but just, hearing the full story and just getting to know who everybody was. And then by the time we get there, because we don't have a ton of time to shoot, we kind of already have the story in our minds. And so we're not telling people what to say, but we kind of know what we need from them to make the story work. And so there was a lot of moving parts in this story because the way it came together with Doug and everything was a bit to figure out. But in the end, we just kind of followed Elise's journey, and that took us where we needed to go. I remember one of the first things Jackie said to me was, "Please don't make us look like hillbillies." And I live in California, and so, anywhere else in the country, I think you were seeing the headlines about the opioid crisis and the economic crisis and things. And I did a bit of research, and I think West Virginia, which obviously is full of these incredible people and is this gorgeous state, has been fighting an image problem for a long time. I think that it was all one state of Virginia, and then the Civil War, the rich planters in Eastern Virginia, who I think always looked down on the West people in the West, the West Virginians finally they had the opportunity at that point to say, "Guess what, guys, we're out of here," and they started their own state. And so this goes back a long way. I will say that I'm from Florida, so I've got you all beat. Florida man is crazier than anybody. But then, of course, the moment we got there, everyone was just so amazing, and such huge hearts. It was kind of gloomy the whole time we were there. It was raining, but Elise and all the people in the story were so filled with light that it just really shined through. I think it made a nice contrast in the end.
Can you also talk to us a little bit about the idea behind these films and what Hormel asked of you? These clearly are not commercials for these products. There's something different. And can you talk about the creative freedom you got to do this film? Or
Sure. Yeah. I mean, Scott and I are filmmakers. We're not commercial directors, and so I think it says a lot that Hormel and Ethan, your company that works with Hormel, Attention Span Media, found us to tell these stories, and not someone that would immediately be thinking, well, how do we use these people's stories to reflect well on the brand? That nobody ever told us anything like that. They just said, hey, these are incredible stories. Tell them as faithfully as you can. And so that's what we do anyway. So it really, I mean, yeah, it was freedom, but it was really just the freedom to let the story be what it was, and to give all the credit and the glory to people like Elise.
So Elise, I've seen David on sets many times, and he does have an amazing ability as an interviewer, but he joked at the beginning of this that he had to tell you to loosen up. What was it like to be interviewed by David?
It was fun. He really just made the entire experience amazing. Just having him there made me feel a lot more comfortable because it felt like I'd known him for years.
Yeah, he's a people whisperer. He's really good at that.
I could say one other thing, which is that something we used in some of the films, but we started with Elise's film, is a device called an Interrotron. And we had kind of a poor man's version. It's basically a way that the main character, in this case, Elise, who we wanted to be really close to the audience, looks directly into the camera, which is a very awkward thing if you do it just looking into a camera lens. But what this device does is it's basically a reflective screen that sits right where the lens is, but she's looking at me. And so we're having a direct conversation. And you remember, Elise, it took a little while to get it, because I was sitting on the floor and kind of hunched down, and it's a mirror. And so she was kind of looking around trying to find me, and then she said, "Oh, there you are." And so, I think that's what gave the piece such a feeling of intimacy, was that it really was Elise and I talking directly, but she was technically looking directly into the lens, right at the viewer.
Yes.
Hey, so Doug, you founded a summer food program in your area. Can you tell us about that and more about how poverty has affected your area?
Yes, sir. In 2013, the church I attend, we participate in the supporting the school year programs that happen. That a little extra food goes home to kids on a Friday afternoon that would help them get through the weekends. And was talking to one of the teachers that ran the program in our local school, and mentioned that, what do you need? You would take something the kids weren't eating and things like that. So she said, well, we're gearing up for spring break because you wouldn't believe the number of kids that come back to school on Monday after a long break ready to eat breakfast. Say, well, what do you do in the summertime? And she said, well, we've tried a couple different things and really hadn't been too successful. So I had the opportunity. I worked for Cummins Engine Company and was able to do a Six Sigma project to figure out how to feed these kids in our local school, and really started out with our 3 schools here in our direct community. And that first year, we looked at the scenarios, and due to our rural nature, we've got kids up, on top of hilltops and up hollows, and it's difficult. We have no public transportation. So it's difficult to have a congregation at any particular location to come and pick up extra food during the summertime. So we found this box that the post office has, and we decided that we were going to mail food to kids in the summertime, because you could have all the food in the world, but if you couldn't get it to them, it's no good. So we decided to take that cost on, and we were going to mail food to kids. And we put about 20 different items in the boxes, and we mail it every other week to the kids during the summertime. Well, that first year, we did it out of our garage here, and we did 3 schools, and we did about 52 kids. And the next summer, I've known Jackie for years. She's been my insurance agent for a very long time. So I called Jackie and I said, hey, did this last year, got this idea. We'd like to expand it, maybe go to 3 more schools. Well, I met with Jackie and another colleague of hers, and they said, well, why don't we do all 22 schools in our county? I'm thinking, man, we just did 3 schools. How are we going to do this? Well, that was 2014, presented to Jackie. That summer, we did do all 22 schools. We have since expanded to 4 other counties in West Virginia, and we've shipped over 22,000 boxes of food since 2013 to kids during the summertime, and really to fill that gap in that exists, because we've got the distribution model for the school year. You can provide the food to the schools, and we can put it in their backpacks, just exactly what Elise did. She donated all of the completes to the schools, and they were able to put it in a little bag and send it home. So we knew that it was getting into their home. And what we do in the summer program is provide that food by mail. and we know that it's getting into their homes. And just like what we've seen with this pandemic, getting food to kids and really battling with that due to the rural nature. Without public transportation, can't walk to the local school. It's difficult. So our summer program, we take advantage of the mail system, and we get the food out to them. And actually, we had a donation made to our organization through this. And last week, we mailed 100 boxes to 100 students here in our county that had been deemed high risk, that were in need by our local school counselors. And we shipped over 500 completes in those boxes last week. So not only, Elise's program in the wintertime at Christmas, we've also expanded that to last week, and we shipped over 500 out. It was great as shelf-stable meals. They're perfect meals to put in the mail and get to kids.
And of course, since we've done the film, the world has changed. The pandemic has come upon us. The major economic downturn that's going to hit places pretty hard and going to be with us for quite some time. I'm curious, Doug, Jackie, Elise, what your impressions so far are of the changing economic nature in the area. How hard is the hit? And where do you see it going?
Doug, do you want to start?
Go ahead.
I think you're going to see a lot more poverty. West Virginia is a hard hit area prior to even the pandemic. I mean, you look at our major industry was coal, and that's pretty well gone by the wayside. So you've already got that going on. And then you look at the opioid crisis with it, and then you add a pandemic on top of it. So I think you're going to see people that don't normally struggle, they're going to struggle, in addition to seeing the ones that are struggling are going to struggle even more. So it's needed, food insecurity and providing for that is needed now more than ever.
Those that were on the edge, this is going to push them over, unfortunately, the wrong way. Those that the working poor, now they're not working. And that's one of the big pushes that we've seen is that with the federal programs in the schools, like for free and reduced lunch, they can apply at any time. And there has been a big push from our local school systems to encourage families to sign up if they've lost their job. There are programs out there, and we're just trying to make them aware of what is available, because they might not have had need those in the past. So it's a huge challenge that I think we're just starting to see. And we're really, one of our programs that we do in the summertime, we've seen a 57% increase participation rate for this summer. So we're anticipating, that to continue for at least a couple of years.
Yeah, I was looking at the statistics earlier today. That fully 1 in 5 Americans say they have trouble getting enough food during this economic downturn, and that's nearly doubling year over year. So it's really hit people hard. 22% nationwide say have a food insecurity. 1/3 of households with children said they had experienced food insecurity. So it just underscores the importance of this film at this time. I really hope we can get it out there and have people sharing it, because I think, Elise, as you said yourself, one person can't change the world, but if everyone had this sort of idea that you had, we could make a real difference in this time. Elise, I'm curious about your plans for the near-term future, or how have you been holding up during the lockdown, and what's coming up for you?
Not too much is going on for me. Doing my schoolwork, riding my bike, going outside.
Yeah.
But thinking about the other kids that they don't have any food. With the global pandemic, there's not too much we can do. But I think that we're doing okay, and I pray that others are doing okay.
Right. Megan, Steve, any other thoughts on what can happen next?
First off, that was very well said, Elise. not only do I not remember what I was doing, but I wasn't making statements like that. So that's awesome.
No. Sorry, I was just gonna say too that I mean the amazing thing to me about Elise is the resounding impact that she's having on so many people and so many adults. She's teaching us to be optimistic, and she's showing us how one person can truly positively impact other people.
Yeah, I was going to build on the comment that David made too around the not being a commercial. And I just wanted to reinforce that this truly was not brand directed. This was Elise directed.
Right. I'm really proud of all the films in the film festival, but this one to me, and I think this is the reason we're ending Friday with this one. It's the most important one for the time we're living in now, because we have this amazing story. But the impact of what Elise has done can be really huge if we get this story out there and share it with a lot of people. So I hope people listening will share it. I know I'm going to do that as well, and really excited to see what is in the future for you and to keep track of your story. So thank you so much.
Anybody else? All right. Well, the last time we saw Elise, we were able to surprise her by announcing that she was selected as one of the 10 under 20 honorees. So that is a program where she's chosen out of hundreds of kids and teens under the age of 20 who have done incredible things in their communities as food heroes. So she was supposed to receive her honor at this spring at Harvard University, because that's where 12-year-olds go, is Harvard. And obviously, given the current situation, we couldn't get that done, but Mr. Snee wanted me to assure you that once this lifts up, we'll make sure that event still happens. Now, at that event, we had planned on surprising Elise with a special gift to help her in her cause, which is the box of belly. So I want you to know we're still going to do that. So we're going to be sending you a check for $2,500 that can be used towards your program. So you think you can find a way to use that money?
Yes. Thank you guys so much. Honestly, without Hormel Completes, we couldn't have done anything without you guys. I just want to thank you from the bottom of my heart. Even deeper than that, thank you guys so much.
Well, thank you. You're certainly an inspiration to all of us. And in honor of you, in addition to our company's existing hunger relief efforts, I want you to know that we're also donating $5,000 to a national campaign that's called No Kid Hungry. This campaign is aimed to ensure every kid gets 3 meals a day. So if you're interested in donating to this campaign personally, the website is nokidhungry.org. So that's nokidhungry.org with no spaces in between. So when we notified them of this donation, I want to read you a note that we got from Jill Davis, who is that company's chief revenue officer.
Okay.
It says, "Thank you, Hormel, for your generous donation. America's kids need us. The coronavirus has closed schools nationwide, and millions of vulnerable children are losing the school meals they depend on. No Kid Hungry is providing emergency grants to schools and community groups to ensure kids get the food they need as schools are closing due to the COVID-19. Together, we can ensure that no child has to go without the food they need during school closures and beyond. Our sincerest thank you to the Hormel team for all you're doing to support our communities." So we certainly thank Jill for the note, and obviously also thank them for all the great work that they're doing, and everybody here. So thanks again, everybody online, for joining us. Thank you for joining us here, the 6 of you. See, I couldn't even count when I was 12, let alone when I'm not 12 anymore. We'll just leave it at that. So again, thanks for everybody for joining us. Don't forget to tune in tonight at 7 p.m. for more great films. On our Hormel Foods YouTube page, we've also got all the films that we played this week, in addition to some other fantastic films. Remember, tonight also includes our premiere of the Everyone Has a Story series, which again features 6 amazing stories from people on our Hormel Foods team that have done incredible, challenging, and uplifting things and journeys to be a part of the Hormel Foods family. So trust me, you're not going to want to miss out on those. So we'll see you at 7 tonight. and have a super great weekend. And for those of you that joined us late or missed the film, we are going to do an encore presentation of the 5th grader who fed Putnam County, West Virginia.
Yay, they're going to do an encore.
West Virginia is a very proud place in which don't want to look for outsiders for help. But you go about 2 miles off the interstate, and that's where you start seeing the poverty. And we don't have a lot of industry here. A lot of that has moved away.
West Virginia has a very huge drug crisis right now, the opioids.
A lot of folks looking for that out to soften their pain for not being able to provide and to have the life that maybe their parents did. It's just affecting our kids in ways that we've never seen before.
There's a load of kids and loads of families that need help, and they need to be fed and loved.
West Virginia is really country, and usually country people are really nice. Well, my parents were always telling me to do nice things to people, so I took that lesson to heart. I find that I think about how other people don't have what I have, and there are just a ton of sweet people in the world who say hi to me every day, hug me, say what's up, everything. At first I was thinking about all the other homeless people and the large amount of homeless people in West Virginia.
Elise comes to me and says, Mom, I want to do something for the homeless.
And then I found that there was just as much need in my schools as in the real world. And that just changed my perspective on everything. Hey, dog.
Hey, Elise, how are you?
Good, how are you?
Ready for another day?
Oh, yeah. When I was at Polk Elementary School, Mrs. Stevens told us about this little boy who ate his ramen noodles raw. I felt awful. It made me want to cry. I mean, if I could, I would go over there, and every time he wanted ramen noodles, I would cook him them, because I think about how my grandmother cooks me ramen noodles a lot.
It kills you, knowing that this child had nothing to eat but raw noodles.
So I said, Elise, what do you think about maybe working with some kids? Our backpack program, any child that gets free and reduced lunch, they will send home this backpack.
Backpack Buddies usually feeds everyone at the end of the week, but they don't do anything on the holidays. So that's why I decided to do something on the holidays, and Christmas particularly.
She wanted them to have a hot meal for Christmas.
And she wanted to make sure that there was food in the cabinets for these children over those 12 days.
I had to raise a lot of money. We had to raise at least $5,000. Mom said, how are we gonna get $5,000? And I said, you know what, let's post a video to Facebook. Maybe people will donate there. What's up, everybody? My name's Elise, and this Christmas, I wanna help kids get a meal.
I was holding the phone in one hand and her script in the other hand, and she was reading it. And the outtakes are hilarious. Some of them she would say, good evening.
Good evening. Oh, what? Real creepy, like. It was the craziest thing.
We posted to Facebook with the hashtag Box to Belly Challenge, and immediately things started happening.
I was truly amazed at how they would donate and help out. I just didn't know how kind the world could be.
She went out and did the social media, and she raised the money. She selected the Hormel Completes meals. She felt like that was the best option for her program.
The Hormel Completes are so perfect because the kid can just peel it off. And even if they don't have a microwave or a way to heat it up, they can eat it cold, which some of the kids don't have any choice but to do. So that's why we chose that product.
She delivered every single one of them to every single school in our county.
Polka Elementary School was one of the most hard. It was just really depressing to go to Polka and hear that there was nearly half the schools that needed food.
Polka has the highest rate of participation in their backpacks. Melissa meets us at the door, and she cried. She cried. It was amazing. She was like, I cannot believe that a little girl, this was her vision. This is what she wanted to do for Christmas.
So I got emotional because just to see a 5th grader want to do something like that and to help kids that she doesn't know.
The pure joy of children at Christmas is one of the most magical parts of the season.
But it's the generosity of one child that's creating magic for her parents, teachers, and even strangers during a season that can often be stressful financially. She's helping to lighten the load.
She's a pretty incredible fifth grader, and she's just inspired me to think more about how I can help my neighbor, because that's really, to me, what this story is about. We would like to make a donation of 1,300 trays of completes in honor of you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
I look at this being a movement, that we are owning our communities.
The weak, the ones that are hurting, those are the ones that she tends to take under her wings, the underdog. And don't get me wrong, she's still your typical child. She's still all about Fortnite. She's all about playing outside with her friends. But at the end of the day, Elise is an old soul too, and she has a heart to care and to give to people. And that's what she's done.
I mean, there are many people in the world who do this, and I'm just one person. More than one of me could change the whole world. Like, they can do anything. The sky's the limit.
I'm Elise and I am the creator of the Box Bow Challenge.